Hello everyone, my name is Sam and welcome to today's candy tutorial. Today I'm going to show you two different methods on how to make candy stars. So there is this smaller star and this larger star I'm going to show you how to make today. And the colors I chose for this tutorial are yellow and blue. You're also going to need some string. I'm using this stretch cord, but you can pretty much use whatever kind of string you want. And then you'll need a pair of scissors as well. I already pre-cut my string, and I would always overestimate how much string you're going to use when you're making candy. It's better to have too much string than not enough. For the ease of the tutorial, the single is going to be two different colors. So you're going to string on 10 beads in an alternating pattern. So for me, I'm going to do one yellow and one blue, one yellow, one blue, and so forth until you have 10 beads. All right, so once you have your 10 beads, you're going to go ahead and tie the single together. And I would suggest doing at least 2 knots, but I like to do 3 just to secure your candy. And then you're going to be left with this kind of mini tail and a much longer piece. Oopsie. So you can go ahead and cut off the smaller end of string. Gotta make sure I find it, because you don't need that. Boop. All right, and then you'll have a longer tail, which I'm just gonna trim slightly because I don't need all this string. All right, so this is what you're gonna be left with. Now, I personally would just string through a bead that's directly next to your knot. That way your knot kind of is hidden a little bit and you're not working in between beads. So now you can see my string is coming out of a blue bead. The next step is to take 3 colors, which I'm going to do 2 yellow and 1 blue. So in this pattern, yellow, blue, yellow. And you're going to take your string and you're going to always be stringing through the blue beads or your secondary color. So my string's coming from this blue. You're going to completely skip that yellow bead and go in through the next blue bead. And when you pull tight, you should have a little point like this. So you're going to do that again. So my pattern is yellow, blue, yellow. My string's coming through this blue bead, skip this yellow, go through the next blue. Just like that. And you're going to do that until you reach the end of the star. Yellow, blue, yellow. Always skipping a bead and stringing in through the next. Oops. Sometimes my string does not like to cooperate. All right, now we're at the end of it, and you're going to, you can see how my string's coming through here. You're going to be stringing through that first blue bead that you strung through to finish your star, the mini star. Just like that. And now to tie it off, this may be a little bit difficult to see, but you can see my string is kind of coming in between beads here. I'm gonna poke my string kind of through the bottom of that point, just like that. And you can kind of like push the string up and you'll be left with this kind of loop and a tail, and you're going to pull the tail through that loop. And this will tie off the candy star for you. So I'll show you that again. Hopefully this is clear. So you see this kind of like hole in between the point and the base of your star. You're going to poke your string through that hole and then pull up like that, and you'll have a loop and a tail, and you pull the tail through the loop. I hope that makes sense. I'm going to just do that one more time. I like to always tie 3 knots. And then you can go ahead and cut off your string, and you have yourself a little candy star. So that's how you make the mini candy star. Let's move on to the big candy star. So I'm just going to get new string because I want to make sure I have enough. Yep. All right, and you're going to start it pretty similarly to this one, where you're stringing on 10 beads. So I'm going to do the same alternating pattern of yellow, blue, blue, yellow, I guess. Blue, yellow. And you're going to do 10 beads of that, okay? So starting with the base of 10. All right, and just like before, you're going to have this kind of single, and you can go ahead and tie that together. Cut off the short tail again, and you'll be left with the long tail. All right, so how this kind of differs is the amount of beads that we're going to be stringing on. I'm going to string through that yellow bead first though. So you're going to put on 4 beads this time. So we'll do 4 blue beads. Like this, okay? My string's coming through this yellow bead, skip the blue, go through the yellow. So just like before, you're skipping beads and going in through the next. And you'll be left with kind of like this weird half point thing. So you're going to do that throughout the rest of the star, 4 beads of whatever color. I'm in this yellow bead, skipping the blue bead, going through the next yellow. Pull nice and tight. And you can already see the star sort of forming. Sorry for the huffing and puffing, by the way. I have allergies and also asthma, so double whammy for me. Oopsie. Oh well. Kandi sometimes likes to just do whatever it wants. You know. Like a rebellious child. I don't want to behave, Mom, you know. Anyway. And then when you reach the end, you're going to string back through that first yellow bead that we started off with. And now we're not quite done yet because we're going to add these little points. All right, so you can see my strings coming through this middle bead, yellow bead here in the base. You're going to string up through 2 of the blue beads. So now your string should be coming in between these 4 beads here. Now you're going to add whatever point color you want. I'm going to do yellow. And you're going to string down through these 2 blue beads. And when you pull tight, it will make a point. Now your string will be coming out through this blue bead on the bottom here. My suggestion is stringing through that base yellow bead from the single we did at the very beginning. This helps hide the string and keep everything secure. This can be a bit tricky, so if you do have a needle, a plastic needle, you can always use that to string your bead through, your string through, I mean. I do not have a needle, so I do it by hand, and sometimes that can be a bit tricky. pull nice and tight. And again, so we're coming through this base bead, this yellow bead here, stringing up through 2 of the blue beads, adding your point color, for me is yellow, and then stringing down through these 2 blue beads, pull nice and tight, and then my string's coming through this blue bead, you're stringing down through the base yellow bead. And you can just do that all the way around the star. So we'll do that together, and then I'll show you how to tie off the large star. And of course, if there's anything in this tutorial that is not making sense to you, please feel free to ask questions and I'll do my best to answer them. Or do another video answering questions on any tutorials. I'm new at making tutorials, so if you have any suggestions on how I can be a better tutorial person, also let me know. Oops, not quite yet. Oops. Sometimes I forget where I'm coming. So I'm doing the last point on this star. You're going to just be stringing through like normal. And I would suggest tying it off on the base, so I'll string back down through that first bead. And similarly to how we tied off the mini star, you're kind of poking your string through the hole here and then pulling up until you have a loop and a tail, and then you're pulling the tail through the loop. So I'll show you that another time. So taking the string, poking it through this hole here, pulling up, you'll have a loop and a tail, and you pull the tail through the loop. Okay, and you can go ahead and cut off your string, and you have yourself a big star. So I hope that this tutorial was helpful. Again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Otherwise, I'll see you next time for another tutorial. Bye guys!